And back, next topic. So what's the next topic?
Yeah, that was a punch-in. All right. So yeah, man. Just having these thoughts about interracial relationships. I think that's been a hot topic in today's day and age. Where we're constantly seeing like black men always go. Successful black men always go for a white
Black
girl.
man, don't cheat. Go ahead.
Yo, we need the t-shirts, man.
I'm telling you. Go on. Go on.
Yeah, black men always go for a white girl.
Yeah.
Or or like we need to kind of keep like we not dilute like the black the black race or stuff like that. Some people are really saying that. That's one of the biggest issues why they want to like kind of stay within the same race. But I'm personally all for interracial relationships. I'm like, yo, love who you want to love, do what you want to do. So long as y'all stay safe with one another, it's all good. But there are certain dynamics about it that make it a little complicated. And from what I've seen, whether it's in my own experience or from friends going on in certain ways, I find that sometimes there are things that make it not even complicated, but at times even a little creepy. And let me explain what I mean by that. I got the perfect story. I remember when I was in college, there was this one girl that one of my boys was dating. So yeah, there was this one girl one of my boys was dating, and she had tried previously hitting on me.
Oh yeah.
She had tried hitting on another dude. She pretty much went from dude to dude, eventually settling with my boy. Think about, what do you think her race was?
I don't know. I really don't know.
She wasn't black. What do you think we all were? What do you think we all had in common?
Yeah, black men,
Yeah. And so she's dating him, right? And then one day, her parents come into town or whatnot, and she's like, oh, I need to make sure that, they kind of stay out of your hair, blah, blah, blah. Let's not hang out too much while they're here. And he's looking at her like, would it really be that bad? Like if your parents just saw me real quick? And he's like, no, that's because, my dad has certain views, et cetera, et cetera. And that made things complicated between the two of them after that. And it was also something that I think he, myself, and our other boys kept telling him is that, yo, she tried to get with each and every one of us, B. We just said we weren't interested, and she eventually got with you. And listen, if y'all got something that's great, superb. But don't you think it's a little weird that she comes from a particular family that would apparently have problems if a black dude is with her? And then on top of that, now she seems to only go for black men in that sense. What do you think about that?
So, how do you say that in English?
What, the forbidden fruit?
For the forbidden fruit, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think it's just what it is. I think two things, she was in college, and in college a lot of people want to have experiment, and this is my issue where I believe that, I'm also for the interracial thing, but if it becomes a point where it's just you objectifying the person, which I think it happens a lot with black men, a lot of people objectify black men because they think that a whole number of reasons, from sexual performance to looks to styles, whatever. We kind of know the reason why. Where's I going with this? Oh yeah. So I think a lot of people in college just experiment. They want to have jungle fever, which I hate this term.
Yeah, me too.
So I think that's just what it was. Or also, she grew up, and a lot of parents, unfortunately, tell their kids the no. And because you tell them don't do this, don't go with these people, I think the child grew up. Some kids stay away from it, and others, when they get to college, I think it's the first time that they've met so many black men, and they are people from this, because that's what the beauty of college, I believe, in this country is just like you are with people that you would have never met if it wasn't for college. You would have never met in your walk of life if it wasn't for college. And yeah, it's a big melting pot of different culture, different religion, different ethnicity. And what happened is, she probably see a lot of black men that she's just like, man, these men are looking good. Shit, like I actually want to try. I actually want to try what he seems like,
I think it was more than that, though.
No. I'm continuing. I'm not done. So I think it was part of it where she might have liked, but it's also where she might have issues with her dad, and she wanna. And it's these things where just like rebellious thing where just like you're rebelling against your dad, and you want to try out, but she still somewhat had that respect. I think
for the individual.
I think that's just what it was, and she didn't really love that man like that, because I do believe that some women, when they really love their man, they don't care what their family said.
Yep.
They don't care what their family said. They're just like, you know what, this is who I chose to be with. You gotta accept it. It's either you accept me, how you raised me, and accept that I can make, an educated choice on who I want to be with, or we're just not gonna see each other anymore. Her, I think it was just a case of she just wanted to have fun, because she was really about him like that. She was like, yeah, he's just gonna have to deal with it. Time has changed. He's just gonna realize that I'm dating someone who's not white. If she was
exactly, but that's my thing, right? And this is kind of the point that I wanted to get to. As a black man, and I'm just gonna say my own personal experience, women like her, when I've dated outside my race, I've met them a couple times, and it's a little creepy. It gets a little creepy. I'm gonna use that word. It's straight up creepy, because sometimes you get that sense that the first thing that got you to them, or more like that you reeled them in because you were black, and they had all those objectifying expectations that, okay, there's going to be certain sexual performance. There's going to be this. You're going to be great athletically. You know all about the new rap or something like that, right? They have these certain ideas of black men.
Yeah, damn, you're not really black. You listen to John Legend.
Yeah.
Damn, you're not really black. Damn,
you read a lot. You read a lot. Like, wow. I see, you know what I mean? Like, wow.
It's like, wow. You're just like, what? It's like, what are you talking about? Like,
you speak correctly. You all those things. Like, see, we're laughing because we have experience in all of this. And
you dress different. You're just like, all right, here we go.
I don't see a single pair of Jordans in your closet. Like, all that kind of thing, right? And that's the thing that kind of like bugs me sometimes when you're dealing with the women that are like that. It seems like the only reason they're with you is to satisfy this fantasy. And sometimes that fantasy will take them so far as them actually, like you mentioned that their families may not be cool with it, but some of them actually will marry a black man or all that type of shit, and that fantasy will take them so far. But then there are also, and this
I don't know if it's fantasy. Go ahead.
And then the next point is what you're about to say, right? Is that sometimes that fantasy will not allow them. No, the fantasy is not enough for them to completely change their viewpoint of the world. Because like you said, they want a taste of that forbidden fruit, but they're not really gonna make that fruit their like lifetime piece of like that's not gonna be their lifetime diet, right? And this is where I'm gonna bring in another example. I think this was senior year of college. There was this girl that she was a white woman, and she used to come and study with us, kick it with us. We had this room in the library where everyone would come and study, and people, all kinds of people would come in, right? And she came and she would kick it with us, and I would see her bring one dude, another dude. She's doing her thing. I'm not judging, nothing like that. And there would always be like a quick black guy or something like that. And I would ask her, like, yo, so you doing something with him? Like, what's going on? Just shooting the shit. He's like, oh, no, I'm just having fun with him. And then the only guy that I saw her with, and I remember I was just walking to class or something. I just saw her with this dude, and it was a white guy who didn't look all that, you know what I mean? Like all that compared to the other dudes that I saw. And I was like, so yeah, what's going on? She's like, oh yeah, this is Matt, it's my boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. She's hugging him tight. I was like, this is very intriguing. And I remember I kind of saw that pattern because we kind of lost contact after college, but we would still be cool on social media. And I would kind of see that pattern where we would talk, we would maybe have loose conversations, or maybe friends of hers that we still talk to. Feels like, yeah, I always see her messing around with this black dude, but as far as the dude that she would claim on her social media, always white guys.
So this is where you were about to make the point I was going to make, because to me, if she get married, I mean that at least I do believe that it's more than just a fantasy. I think it's more than a fantasy, because now you're bringing your world. I mean, both of your worlds, basically come together. But I was gonna say that. I was gonna say unfortunately, a lot of people see black men as enjoyment. They see black men as it's fun, but when it's time to date and settle down, I'm not gonna be with one of them. I'm just gonna go find someone because I've heard that. Man, I've heard the same thing. I've heard that black men don't take care of their kids.
Yep.
I've heard, I've heard so many things. I was just like, what? And he's like, and it's funny because when you're not used to it, now we used to it. It's just like you're familiar. But I was like, where the hell did you get this thing from?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just like, what? I was so shocked. She's like, man, black men, they're not really serious. They don't really want to relationship. I'm just like, I'm like, what?
I think that also comes from the fact that you and I, we're not really like American born and like kind of stuff.
But even,
so our culture, we kind of got to experience different type of things, right?
I get that, but I'm saying like certain things to me have nothing to do with. I always say this is nothing to do with the skin color of the person. It's more so you always talk about this classicism. If you grew up in a neighborhood where your parents had certain means, two parents household, and they had a successful marriage, you more than likely will want the same thing. It's not because you know what I mean. More than likely you want the same thing. If you used to certain, you know what I mean. That's what it is. The problem here is a lot of black people are a lot of people that are poor happen to be black, and they grew up in a neighborhood where they didn't necessarily see this family or a certain family structure. That's the only reason why. It's not because they're black. You see what I'm saying? You're making it seem as if it's a black thing. It's not a black. You see what I'm saying? That's where I have issue with.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying that you and I were maybe not used to it because we come from a different right. But yeah, keep going.
Just to continue with just so her, I think it's just a fantasy, and I think it's a lot of them, which is true. What the point you just made is true, where you would have women where you're just like you don't know if she's really with you for you or if she's with you because of an idea that you represent, like you are tall, and then that's another thing too, the picking, because they don't just pick your regular average, you know what I mean? Like they pick a certain kind, and you start realizing that I kind of fit that stereotype. Because it took me a while. Because I'm just like, damn, I actually speak the stereotype. That's the reason why it took me so long for me to realize. So, I'm for. I don't know if we touched because I think there's so much more to say about interracial. I think we just touched on the more physical aspect and when people want to have fun. But I think interracial to me it goes beyond that. If I were to answer the question, I think the question was, are you for interracial dating? I think we're in 2021. I believe that the society we're living in is you can't avoid it because we are all like, let's say New York, DC, it's just like you meet people from so many. If you live in Iowa, middle of nowhere where it's just like 99% white people, you don't, you know what I mean? Like, of course you're gonna date people that more sort of look like you, but when you live in big cities, you go to school or you work with people that don't necessarily look like you, but the mentality of big cities is like very liberals. We kind of all, I'm not saying we all think the same, but we kind of all have the same experience. So that means that the person that you would choose to be is not necessarily someone that looks like you. That's just what it is. And sometimes, I truly believe you have to go where you love, man. Sometimes you're not gonna be loved by someone, and I think maybe that's where you're right. Where because we come from different, we had different background. Because one thing I know about America is being black and being white is very different. Well, it's different everywhere, but in America, it's very, very different. Where the culture is so different, the way people speak is different. A lot of
it's everywhere. I think it's a little different between.
Because in Belgium, no. I'm sorry. If I hear
there's still certain distinctions. There's still certain distinctions.
But it's not as strong as in America.
You know that better than me. I left Belgium when I was a little.
That's what I'm saying. It's not as strong as in America. It's a whole different culture. Like, yes, you would tell me that it's a culture. It's a different culture in Belgium as well. Yes. But it's not, because people are mixed with, we are more, I don't know how to kind of say it, it's just like, the distinction is too strong here. Like the way a black person speak compared to a white person speak, you can see the difference. In Belgium, in certain, depending on where, you don't even know. You get, until you meet that person on the phone, of course I'm saying, like, let's say if you talk on the phone, you would not know if that person is black until you meet them. You see what I'm saying?
So you're going to tell me that someone from, let's talk about
someone that
Belgium
was
real quick.
Belgium real quick.
Raised in Belgium in Metongue, for example.
No, that's what I'm saying. But you're targeting the place. If it's a black person that, for example, me, or someone that grew up in Brussels somewhere, you would not see the difference. I'm not talking about like you're talking about area where it's only black people. Metongue is only black people. If you talk about Starbake, the places where Trump was shooting on, that's mostly Muslims. So of course you're gonna hear people.
Oh man, which hurt me because that's where I grew up. But
that's what I'm saying. But if you're taking a black person that grew up in the freaking suburb,
they're gonna talk about the same way.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that which is actually going to in my point about interracial dating and about my point in just life in general, I just like people to be consistent or just to admit that they're hypocrites. Because at the end of the day, man, when you're talking about like interracial dating and this whole fetishism, this whole objectification aspect of it, yo, just if you have a certain body type or preference or what have you, apply that throughout the spectrum. Simple as that. That's my thing, because sometimes I won't get the same evaluation criteria that a white man may get, that a Latino man may get. So like yo, at the end of the day, I'm still just a man. So kind of like evaluate me down that same standard. Don't
so you being real. So
yeah.
okay, so let's say things. So you feel like some, because I don't want to say some people are pickier when it comes to certain, like for example, like exactly they're pickier. So, for example, let's say, and we're just going to say the most obvious, example. The white guy, she's not even going to look the way necessarily he looks or how much he makes, or anything like that. But she's just going to be like him by default. He's probably going to be a great dad. He's going to be more stable. So by default, she's going to go with him. But as a black man, you got to be making a certain income. You got to be dressing a certain way. You got to be speaking a certain way. You have to be, you know what I mean?
You have to fulfill the stereotypical aspects of black men.
If you meet daddy, your daddy will have no. You basically have no reason to say, "Wow, you with him," because you have all these things. You see what I'm saying? Whereas the white guy, daddy would naturally, automatically just accept it.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's my thing. That's my only thing. Just like try to be consistent and. Yeah.
I'm saying daddy or mommy because same thing.
And by the way, I think that kind of goes the other way around. It's not just a white girl, black guy. It can also be like the black guy's family can have that same opinion about if that person brings on a white person, and obviously the dynamics of it will change a little bit because of the socioeconomical aspect of things, et cetera. But I do think that at the end of the day, those dynamics make it more complicated, make interracial dating more complicated than like just staying within your race, which is why I kind of understand certain people that say, like, yo, I don't want to deal with all those problems. I'm just going to stand on my side.
This is exactly what I was about to say. Back when I was comparing Europe, and I was like, it's very different. Because, man, people, interracial dating in Europe is everywhere. Yeah. So it's not looked down upon as it's here. Where, man, if I walk out here with a white girl, man, I already know that, man, I'm going to receive some weird eyes. Like, what are you doing?
Like, yo.
You know what I'm saying? I've never experienced that in Belgium, for example. You know what I mean? Whereas here, so because it's more accepted. I'm not saying it's more accepted, whereas here, and same thing, we only talking about notion white and black, but it can be Hispanic, whatever. People will look at you weird because America is very
America divides.
It's very divided. Like it's united, but it's also very divided.
No. America makes a distinction of everyone.
You see what I'm saying? Exactly.
Simple
where, because I know, for example, I've dated. Take another example. I've dated an Ethiopian, and just because I was dating her. When we go to Ethiopian places, they would talk to her in her language. How did it again? God damn, I forgot.
Don't look at me. I am ignorant when it comes to that.
Jesus, but they were speaking in her language, letting her know, what are you doing with him? You see what I'm saying? So it's not just a black or white thing, but it's just like they were looking at her wrong. And so just to tell you that people are expected, even till this day, are expected to stay within your own community, which is weird. They don't realize the concept of
a melting pot.
Exactly.
But it's a little.
But think about it. I'm like, you go to school, you go to college where you meet people from different, like that have more like you know what I mean? Like you go to college, places where you really end up with the people that you hang around. You really end up with
but that's one of the things that make college like sort of at times it makes college difficult for other people because you may come from one area where you wake up in the morning, you go outside and you see someone that looks just like you and nothing like that and nothing else. And then 18 years later, when your most important formative years have already happened, you're thrown into a melting pot and you don't know what is going on.
But it changes your perspective. Those 4 years change your perspective.
Sometimes for some people it does. For some other people they're like, man, screw that. I'm just gonna be in my corner where I can only see the people that I know that look like me.
That's what
I'm gonna do. Some people do that.
Some people do, but I also know a lot of people. For example, if you read the Between the Wall and Me by
Tahisi
Coates. He talked about his chapter. What you just mentioned is exactly his upbringing. He grew up in Baltimore, if I'm correct. And he was talking about how black on black, the violence and everything. that the first time he met someone that was African, that was different than him, was when he got went to college at Howard. And he was just like, the woman, I think that's what he explained.
I read that book. I remember that
He was just like, yo, she changed my life. Like, she changed my perspective on the world. This is what I'm saying. She's like, I've been to school with plenty of, because we didn't even talk about African and African American. We didn't get on that. I went to school with Black Americans, they had this perspective that African kids are all poor. And when they met us, they were just like, damn, like, I didn't know
African. I didn't know y'all didn't have pet lions. I didn't know internet existed out there. I thought y'all shit in the woods.
But that's the beauty of college, because I've met these kids. We're just like, I remember, that's very dumb, but my freshman year, where my friend thought that the Super Bowl was the biggest sporting event in the world. It was like, my G, it's soccer. It's the soccer World Cup. He's like, what? I'm like, there's only 300-something million people in America.
2 billion people watch the World Cup final. 2 billion people watch the World Cup final.
But that's the beauty, how between a Black American, African American, and African, we were able to like, like, we have so much in common, and we became friends. And it's the same thing. That's why, again, it's the same thing with all these interracial couples, because you go to school and you realize that, I know some of the girl you mentioned, I didn't even talk about my experience, but I've met so many women that were like, damn, like, when I came to DC, I never knew that there were these type of Black men. The only vision of Black men that they had was the one on TV, ghetto, this, whatever. But they're like, damn, like, there's a lot of educated men, and they're attractive, blah, blah, blah. So she was like, it really changed my perspective. So whenever she goes home now from where she's from, and his parents, your parents, she's like, nah, that's the only perspective you saw, because in our state, Black people are not necessarily doing well. But if you move, you will see that they're just as educated, if not more educated.
It's not even that Black people are not doing well in that particular state. It's just that they probably haven't left their particular bubble within that state. And simple as that. Simple as that. But and that's the thing that why I think you and I were very fortunate, because we're third culture kids. We were able to like experience all kinds of cultures, all kinds of people, creeds, and colors, and that's something that I've found invaluable in my life experience. But not everyone has been so fortunate. So.
Because we can relate, because I think that's the point. It's just like and I think as you get older, that you realize how much of a gift it is. It's just like you can relate to different communities. You know what I mean? You know, because of that background. But many people, like you said, they stay in their bubble, not necessarily. It's not necessarily a bubble.
Sorry, my mask.
It's my my bad.
Go ahead.
No, it's not just bubble business. It's more so, they stay where they're comfortable. I think that's just what it is. And their parents, just to finish with the generation, is that their parents, they didn't grow up in that environment. Because nowadays, what's happening is we have this thing with generation where all you experiencing, your parents did not have that experience. So they can't really advise you on it. Because 20, 30 years when they were kids, the world was very much segregated. It still is, but not to this, but not to that extent.
No. Now we have multiple. Now not only can people travel more, but then on top of that, you got internet. You got all these kind of things. Even though I think the internet, there's a positive and negative of that, because there's always like there's an imagery of one particular demographic that's going to get spread all over the internet.
Is that what we have on the menu for the next topic? Is that the next topic? I know we have something about the event, the effect of social media on today's world. Yeah.
Nice little segue. So I mean, you can
start. Nice little segue. No, but I mean, so we going on that?
Shit.
Damn, the effect on social media, but the effect on the social media had on even dating. We can start there. Dating. I'm just like, man, social media has changed. That's why sometimes when old folks talk about, and I even posted something on of that nature on social media this week, but when older people talk about their love and all these things, I'm just like, y'all just didn't have the option that we have today. So basically, and it's not even this.
Well, there's positives and negatives.
It's just options available where you can really like, when at least the illusion of option, because I think people think they have option, not necessarily. It creates an illusion of option. The reason why I'm saying this is because nowadays you go on Instagram and everybody has this message box on their profile. So you can just click on it and immediately send them a message. So when you see their pictures, it seems like that person is available because you can just click and send them a message. And you know what I mean? So that's what I mean by illusion of message, where that person may answer or may not answer, but you can do that. The more attractive you are, or the more your page looks good, the higher chances of them replying.
But you know what else is about that illusion? If you think about it, once you actually meet that person, are they actually going to look like that?
Some do, some don't. Some do, some don't. But the thing is,
that's the other thing about the illusion. It also comes down to what your expectations are, and you may not. What you may believe are meeting your expectations off the internet. Once you actually go and meet,
But you're taking it a step. But I think you're taking it a step further. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna meet this person. But the thing is, you have all these people in your face. It's like dating app. You have all these people in your face. Where I feel like back in the days, this is where I'm talking. Back in the days, people were not traveling as much, so you will meet one person in your neighborhood, for example, and you marry that person because you know
that's the only option that was available for you.
Exactly. Nowadays, again, forget even dating app, just Instagram alone. You go to the Discover page, or you go on, let's say, on your location. There's so many what seems to be available women there. Just like, she may not be looking this way, but I'm going to go with another one. She may not be looking this way, but I'm going to go with another one.
But even the women that do end up being available, that is far more than what our predecessors had access to. But the thing about social media that I feel makes it difficult is because shit moves fast on that, man. Shit moves really, really, really fast. And sometimes it's really complicated to build a genuine relationship with someone based off of the dynamics of that social media life. And I can talk about my own experiences, right? One thing that I found was difficult is that sometimes when I talk to someone off an app or whether it's social media, and then we actually meet up, I don't find that same personality. You used the perfect word, illusion. Sometimes an illusion can be created online, and then when you bring it to the 3D world,
it happens.
And that's why like one thing I always see is that whether it's on dating apps, they always say, I don't want a pen pal relationship, But at the end of the day, sometimes maybe you do want a pen pal relationship.
Nah, I don't want that. We want that human connection.
No. You get what I'm saying when I said that, right? Because at the end of the day, maybe you do want that illusion, but it's still hard to find the right person in the 3D. It's not as hard as it was back then because at the end of the day, you still have more options, but the difficulty is still there. And there's an added level of difficulty due to the nature of social media.
I just think that we making it harder than I don't know, man. You just said a lot, man. You just said a lot. I think we became pickier because of the options. So, for example,
that's a good point too.
So what I'm saying is just like nowadays, it's just like, okay, I know I can get that. I know I can get that. Thing is that before you didn't necessarily know. Like, for example, I'm gonna take my own example. For example, not saying that I have low self-esteem or anything like that, but when I downloaded social media dating app, I've met women that I never even could have thought she wasn't to me. I'm just like, I didn't even know I was hot in the street like that. You know what I mean? Not saying that I'm a catch, but I was just like,
no, say that shit.
No, but I'm saying,
pop your collar and all that. You know what I mean?
But it's like I was like, damn, like she's interested. So you find yourself with all these women or all these men, whatever, that are interested in you, and you're just like, damn, like I can get that. So now you go out with her, and you go out with her, and you're just like, damn, I have all these choices. They all have great qualities. Some of them they have flaws. But you almost feel like you're never really happy. You're never really complete. You're always going to say like, I bet she doesn't have this. I bet she doesn't have that. 2 years ago, you didn't see that. Yeah. You would have dated her because you didn't have these options. But because now you have options, you're just like, yeah, but she's the other one.
That's actually a very good point.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, but the other one is prettier.
Very, very good point.
Oh, but the other one, she has a better career. Oh, but the other one cook better. So you're now starting creating things in your head that were never really there. And I think that's that's the biggest issue in our dating thing nowadays. It's like, I can't find someone that fit me. I was like, no, it's just like we become so picky because of social media. I think that's the problem. Like you said, we look at pictures and we think that we deserve that, or we think that we can have that, and we think it's going to be perfect. And that's the point that you said that's very true. It's just like, that's another thing too. You can very well meet that woman and have that woman or that man, whatever. But in real life, you will realize that, damn, she has so many flaws. But on the social media, you don't see these flaws. You see? So that's what I'm saying, where I'm like, I truly believe, yes, it's advantages, yes, because I've met people that I would have never met before on social media.
That's what I was about to ask you.
But I think it's also because I reached a point, because I've done it so much, and I've reached a point where I was able to kind of, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was able to I was conscious. At the beginning, when I first started, I wasn't conscious. And then I wasn't necessarily aware of these things. Now that I am, I know how to use it. That's why now I'm just like, yeah, dating app, I'm just like, I had stopped. Or because I was just like, nah, this is just too much. You know, so.
But that was going to be my next question about what would you be cool if these apps, for example, vanished? How would we function in society?
But first of all, and they probably even gain even more traction after COVID. People joining these apps making money now. But I'm just like, think about it. people don't last as long in relationship anymore. Like, I swear, if people probably watch data on marriages, on relationship and things like that, you will see that people don't last nearly as long in relationship because now we just I don't gotta put up with that shit.
Yeah. Not only just that, I don't have to put up with your shit, but on top of that, like, yo, I think I got better out here. Simple as that. I think I got better, and
we stay in this cycle. We stay in this cycle, and before you know it, it's 5 years of your life.
Before you know it, it's 5 years of your life, and the thing that made you attractive before may start to dissipate. Maybe you're not going to the gym. Maybe you don't look as good. And now when it's 5 years later, you're like, oh shit, I actually don't have the same amount of options out here. So now you get back on the dating app and you're going back on that same pattern back and forth. And yeah, that's the thing. But again, I want to ask the people out there, and to people out there that are listening, I want to ask y'all, how would you operate, and do you think that your dating experiences will be better if there were no dating apps?
And I was going to add a point. Good question. Hopefully, if people can answer. But I was going to add a point. It's like, again, back in the time where we always talk about the past. Because a lot of people are like, I want tradition. Oh, no. I'm like, your parents, when your mom or your parents, that in that generation, if your mom stepped out the house to meet your dad, more than likely it would turn into something. Like, it would turn into something. She wasn't just going out to get like a free meal or because she was free, whatever. Because they needed one another, but
it's also the societal standards.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The culture has changed, very much so. So your mom was only seeing your dad. She wasn't seeing 3 or 4 dudes at the same time. Nowadays, you find yourself, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but we all dealing with 2, 3 people at the same time. And what ends up happening is you may like 2 of them, 3 of them, or you may be going out with this one, may have sex with this one, and you may, you may have a better connection with this one. So you're juggling 3 to 4 people, and sometimes people don't realize that. I know,
which actually gets us into another very interesting topic.
Exactly, and this is why sometimes when people are dating multiple people, I'm just like, it sounds good, it sounds great, you finding yourself, figure out what you like, but no, this is how you get stuck into, and this is how heart get broken, because it's like you finding women. Because I've been in this situation, I can be open about it, where I had several women that I liked, not several women that I liked, but each and every one of them were bringing something that I liked, and I'm just like, how do you pick one now? Because this one is attractive, this one is, and you're just like.
But it's not even just that.
You don't want to choose. It's
not even just that, and this is where we can maybe segue into the other part of the conversation about polyamory, and in those kinds of relationships. I think also there's the fact that, can you give yourself fully to multiple people at the same time? Can people really give themselves fully to multiple people at the same time?
You know what's funny?
Because listen,
I made that point last year. We were invited in an event for relationship, and I made the exact same point. Go ahead.
Because when you're dealing with one person, and you can really give yourself everything from an effort perspective, financial perspective, sex, whatever have you, this and that. When you deal with multiple people and you start to realize the dynamics that are building between yourselves and this person, you're going to be, okay, with this person, I need to be talking about like my feelings or et cetera. But I'm not going to really put too much effort sexually. Okay, with this person, it's all physical, this back and forth. Okay, cool. And then with this person, we can talk about, I don't know, my interests, sports, music, whatever have you. But at the end of the day, all of you there's going to be a certain level of dissatisfaction due to the relationship that you have with that one individual, because you're not giving yourself fully with that person, which is why it also is going to breed and develop the desire to meet other people even more with each and every single one of you, so you can fill that void that you're not getting with one person with someone else. And then there's a snowball effect where so many people come in, and y'all better hope you're not getting no STD. But then it goes back and do whatever they want it goes back and forth, and before you know it, you got an avalanche. And at the end of the day, is that really?
But people get addicted. Yeah. That's another thing too. People get addicted to dating. People get addicted to the newness. That's another point. The newness of the first 3 months where everything is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But then once he gets serious, he's just like out. So a lot of people, and that's men and women, a lot of people say, they want a serious relationship. But it's like, do you really?
Yep.
When things get tough, are you sticking around? Or are you going to go back into that app and trying to find that same newness feelings where, people, a lot of people love that. They don't, again, our generation doesn't necessarily want to build wow.
Go through the tough times.
Go through the tough times, you know.
They just want to, especially when you have access to that newness so much compared to what it wasn't back in the day. Simple as that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
you want to try it.
Yeah, you have access to experiencing that newness all the time. All you gotta do is pull out your damn phone.
You just gotta
pull out your damn phone,
it's like
swipe,
ordering Uber
swipe.
Eats, bro.
Simple as that.
Like honestly, it's like ordering Uber Eats, man. It's like, man. Yeah, it's like ordering Uber Eats. You go on these dating apps, it's like, all right, I want to go out. Not necessarily mean that you're going to go out with the person that you choose, but there's a high chance. Again, I said, granted, I think not the downfall is just like, well, that's a different topic. I think it's for social media and I think it's dating app, but yeah, the abundance of choice and the effect that it has on, but also, I think also on just like on your self-esteem, man.
How so? Explain.
So, are we still talking about
No, we're freestyling right now. Let's go.
No, yeah. So I think the self-esteem in a sense where, again, some people don't necessarily get as much choices as you, as I don't know, you or me, because they're not as tall, they don't have, attractive pictures. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you base everything off of pictures and off of a certain lifestyle. So some people now start lying about their life or what they perceive because they want to be accepted. That's one, or they want to be chosen. And other people are just not, again, they're not photogenic. Or they may think that they're not worth nothing because they can attract. Because you could meet someone, and it goes back to what you said, where this is the online world, whatever, where you can be a great person and you can create that persona.
And then when you meet that person in real life, you're like, oh, Lord have mercy.
Whereas there are some,
catfish.
Right. Yeah. Whereas some people, in real life, you'd be like, yo, this person, she is awesome. Like, you went on, you're just like, I wouldn't necessarily look at her like she wouldn't be my first choice, but yo, I had such a great time with her. But that's not reflected online, So I think, but people can use. I think if you're not, because not all of us here are like have super high self-esteem, but it can bring someone's self-esteem if down. Yeah, if your own.
Down or up, it depends. Because some people,
that's what happened with IG models, man. The Cash App and shit, OnlyFans, because you give them money, people constantly like them, constantly, like their pictures, so it boosts their self-esteem, it boosts their ego because everybody found them attractive. They get, people fight for them.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to like emotional intelligence. Be able to emotional intelligence, being able to realize being able to realize different situations. That's the same. I don't think so. I think it's trying to keep a certain level of balance on top of that, because sometimes there's so much hyperbole in whether it's positive or negative. You were just speaking about IG models, blah 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 blah. There's a lot of pretty women that still keep their feet on the ground. They're like, okay, I'm gonna just use this for one particular aspect, blah blah blah. But then there's also a lot of people who, if they're not getting the same amount of attention as someone, they actually fall into depression. And you can go online and read those articles. Like, some people actually commit suicide because of those things.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
So it's really about just being able to manage your emotions and realizing what these tools are for and all that kind of stuff. And it takes time. It takes a lot of self-awareness, realization, working through your trauma and all of those things. We can go to a whole mental health topic, but we don't have the time for that. But and it comes back to a lot to just human nature, because at the end of the day, a lot of these things just amplify the things that are about human nature, and they bring them to the forefront in a way that just fucking blows them up in front of everybody. Yeah. And it's really that simple, but it's simple to say, but it's a lot more difficult in practice. So
that's exactly what I always say. In theory, it sounds good in theory, but it's a lot harder to practice. I think there's one more thing I wanted to mention, and then we got to wrap this up because we've been at this. We've been a little over the time. On the previous episode, we talked about Brittany Jenner and what happened with, what's the name of this? PJ Washington, right?
Yeah.
So she recently posted, I don't know if you saw it, like I said, you can pull up your phone, but she recently posted a picture because she mentioned it's daddy season, so she's looking for a new man. She's going to get go on Instagram, probably on her page, where she's looking for a new young prospect she can get a baby by. Let me bundle up Brittany right there. So she posted this picture. Hey, Jackson said hi, your sons.
Woo! My God.
So she goes on college campus to basically, that's her, she went to school there. No, she went to USC. I can't remember anyway. So she's basically going to campus. She's making a joke where finding young men that are stars in the NBA, that will be stars in NBA, NFL. And the internet basically caught wind of that, and it was just like, girl, like if this was a man, all hell will break loose. It's crazy that not a 30, but a woman in her 30s is able to go back to college campuses to really basically prey on young men, and someone will choose her.
That's a double standard, man. Like,
yeah. So what do you think of that? The posting, you got to write the comment because people, even women, are just like, yeah, girl, now you're doing too much. You know what I mean? So some people, of course, do.
Well, first of all, she's doing this. I think she's doing this because at the end of the day, it's also her brand at this point.
Yeah.
And we're talking about just people being addicted to attention on social media. This is, she knows, she's a beautiful girl. But on top of that, this is her brand. She knows she's going to get traction for this, et cetera, et cetera. And on top of that, we were talking about in the last episode about how a lot of these young men in these situations make poor decisions with women like that. Mm-hmm. Guess what? A lot of them will see that picture and they're going to be like, yo, I'm on campus, B. I'm right here. They won't even really think about the possible repercussions that come with messing with a person like that. So she has mostly everything to gain on this. I don't really see if there's a negative on for her on this at all. But from a moral standpoint, we don't
even live in a society.
Morality doesn't really exist. That's why pictures like that, like, yo, we could talk about, but bruh.
But me, I don't blame her. I blame the system because at the end of the day, she can pick someone that's gonna be drafted. She can have a baby and be like, we done, and she would just collect another check.
Yep.
It's the system. It's not her. She's only
taking advantage of the system.
Because Renner, there are plenty of women like that out there. I say this all the time. A lot of the women that hang around with the NBA, NFL players, that's the same thing. They know they're catching a check. You see them, for a fact. I've said it on your previous. For a fact that you don't care about dude. You're making it seem like you in love, but if it wasn't for the money, you wouldn't be with him. Her, she's not hiding whatever she's doing. But it's the system for that create that because a lot of people see that they can take advantage of it.
But that's
morality. We don't even live in a world that reward morality. I'll tell you this, and I'll let you. For example, one of French comedian, he just posted something where just like, and that's very, very. I should have shared it with you. That's very pertinent, very interesting. He was just like, we live in a world where people you have kids going to school doing 8 years, 10 years of medicine of school to become doctors. In France or in these countries, and they're making like $50,000 a year. Being doctors, you have to remember, $50,000 a year is a little more money, but they're making $50,000 a year, right? And you have women that wake up one day. You have IG models. We're not going to say women. You have IG models that just by showing pictures make $50,000 a month. This is the world we're currently living in. So how do you expect? So how do you think? What choices do you think if you have children now? What choices do you think they're going to make? I've said even this point. Like years ago when they started, promoting the Kim Kardashian show, I'm just like, how do you explain to the kid that you need to go to college to get a degree when you see Kim Kardashian and her family making $60 million of a show just showing their life? So of course, young men's gonna follow that route, the sport route or the IG route, because that's where the money is. So,
but do you think that's the system, or do you think that's just what humans like? Simple as that. And attaching money to it, because we can say that's capitalism, right? I think that's capitalism working in their favor. But at the end of the day, it's also capitalism working in the favor of what people like to see. People want to see beautiful women.
But the thing is, it needs to be contained, though. I mean, I feel like
how do you do that? How do you do that, though?
For the betterment of people.
How do you do that, though? Because at the end of the day, the customer is king. If a customer wants something and you have something that they want.
Yeah, that's what social media does, basically.
So how do you contain that at the end of the day? How do you regulate that? Are you going to tell them that they can't make this certain amount of money, that they can't show these? You can say, they can't show these pictures. Yeah, that's one thing.
Explain to me, right now we live in a world where who just got banned? We're talking about Jadon got banned on YouTube channel, Alex Jones, whatever. I'm giving I'm giving people that were banned for using certain word on Twitter and everything like that. They're getting banned for doing that. But you have sexual content that is free online for everybody to see. How is that banned? You see what I'm saying? Like that's the world we're living in. Some people getting banned over nothing.
That's the double standard. That's a double standard, and also just what society wants to prioritize at one point and what they want to diminish at that same point. Yeah. People like Alex Jones and all that kind of things, they have inflammatory messaging that people don't want.
I'm saying,
that people don't. That a lot of people may say that no, I don't want to hear and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and that kind of thing. And by the way, and also, capitalism still works in favor of that kind of stuff because there's apps like Parler where people like him can make a lot of continue to put messaging and receive a lot of interactions with people who will be fine with that kind of messaging. You know, it's unfortunate for, I suppose, those, if I'm going to use the word unfortunate and just take my own opinions out the way, it's unfortunate for those kind of people to not be able to disseminate those messaging on the main platforms like YouTube or whatnot, but there's still an opportunity for them and capitalism to make money off of them off another platform like a parlor. But, sorry, what were you saying again?
I said it needs to be, you know, I'm not contained, but maybe regulated because I think because it's getting out of hand.
But
man.
how do you do that? That's my question.
First of all, the laws need to catch up with everything that's going on online. The past 30 minutes that we've been talking about, you can't contain it, but the laws needs to catch up. I know social media or internet needs to be regulated somehow, and I think the laws are falling behind when it comes to these things because I think, yeah, those people. I mean, like you said it's human nature, and I do believe, and I say this all the time. I do believe that if we don't regulate, that's why we have laws, and that's why religion serves certain purposes. When we live in a world where we remove religion, we remove laws, we remove a certain code of ethic, we're gonna come back and become animals, man. People think I'm lying when I'm saying this, but people are gonna go back.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Whatever.
But when do we reach a consensus over what those laws should be? There's always going to be an argument that no, hell, we have it right now. There's people who don't want weed to be legal. There's still all that kind of stuff. They're still fighting on the hill on that. And you're talking about sexual content online. OnlyFans is about to end that.
Yeah,
they're about to end that right now because of some stuff with MasterCard and the financial services not want to be associated with sexually explicit content. So all
they make money. So I don't know if that's really what it is.
No. It is like because of some law. I'm sorry, I'm paraphrasing it badly, and I'm maybe saying it completely wrong way. But because of that, they're about to end things on OnlyFans. So, and again, people now are mad at that. And they're about to go up and protest that and things of that nature. So that's the thing.
Man, they need to put discount before they put that law. Yo, put discount, man.
When are we gonna reach a consensus? And this is the thing about individualism, especially in a country like in the U.S., where people are always told free speech. Think what you want, blah blah blah, which isn't necessarily true, as we all know. Like some people get censored and some people don't. But if this is the ideal of the society that you live in, that's promoted to you, and you're raised into thinking that, okay, I can think like this and I can do that. There's a free market where I can do this and that and make money however which way I want to, and then they take it away from you. There's gonna be a lot of discussions. That's why we constantly butt heads. We constantly butt heads. Some people are saying like, yo, this law is cool, but some people are like, nah, man, I ain't for it. We need to come down and to a consensus, and I guess that's why voting occurs. But I don't have as much faith in voting as some other people. But man, it's a whole systemic thing, man. It's a whole systemic argument.
So what do you make of the right and wrong? What do you make of the Brittany Renner situation of her posting the picture to kind of get back and have like a last?
I mean, from my standpoint, I could say I can only speak about my morals. That's it. For my morals, girl, fuck out of here. That's it. For my morals, I don't want to see that, and it's really unfortunate that people like that are making bank from this type of behavior. But at the end of the day, when you're looking at the laws, you're looking at the system, you're looking at all the trouble that we would go through to change those things, what's really stopping her? She's just pimping the system. Simple as that.
I don't even think she's pimping. She's just using the system that was being put in place. I think that's the crazy thing about America. Is like once you understand how the system works, you really know how to make it work in your favor.
Yep.
Because within the law, she's not doing anything wrong.
She's not doing nothing wrong. She's not doing nothing wrong.
She's not doing anything wrong.
Yep.
It's just like, you know what I mean? You find these loopholes and it's just like, by law, she's not doing anything wrong.
Yep.
But anyway, we got to wrap this up. You got any final message, before we get out of here? Because this second session might take a little long, but you got a final message, something you want to say, book you want to recommend, what you got?
I'm just sitting in front of my damn little TV, my damn little computer screen when I got time, and I'm waiting for the season 3 of Succession. I am waiting for that, bro. You watch that show?
I'm the one who put you on. What you mean? I put you on, man.
I'm waiting for that, man. I'm really excited to see how the whole showdown between Kendall and his dad is gonna go down. But yeah, man, that's what I'm really anticipating right now. Also, remember last week we had a music conversation. I told you I wasn't the biggest fan of all the young boys and that, and I kind of still put Young Thug in that conversation. I was listening to that Young Thug album that just came out. Boy, good, man. Not even gonna lie. Boy, that boy good. So that's another thing that I'm recommending. That's another one that I'm recommending right now.
All right, I'm gonna check it out. Young Thug.
What about you?
I mean, like I said, Insecure, but I mean, shit, I got the Insecure, episode, the new episode coming out, Succession season coming out. I'm glad. I don't know if you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's next
Every
week.
now and then, yeah.
Yeah, so that's coming out as well. But other than that, man, just trying to build this platform, trying to have more of this conversation. Hopefully, as this platform gets bigger, which we both hope, that people can send us topics that, we can cover. And we can give our opinion on it. That's what
and feel free to comment. If you have engaging conversation, put comments down below.
Yeah.
If you know us personally, reach out. Let's talk about it, man, because the more the merrier. The more the merrier. Let's build a community. Let's have these engaging conversations because that's the only way we can grow.
Yes, sir. All right.
All right.
We out.
Peace out.